Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO allegedly admits to intentionally stonewalling Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger.
Sony's being a little bitch.
Little bitch. Yeah, they really are. I mean, think about it. But I mean, you got to take a look at it from both sides here. All right. So one of the biggest games every single year is Call of Duty. And for how many years did Sony have the timed exclusive rights for different things on Call of Duty? A number of years, probably a decade or so. If Microsoft purchases Activision and Blizzard, they will have all of Call of Duty. They will be in charge of Call of Duty. And here's the thing, Microsoft has stated, not necessarily with Activision and Blizzard, but when they got Bethesda, Microsoft has stated that these games will run best on our product, on our Xbox, on our computers. It will run best, which makes sense because they own the company. Yeah. But Sony's afraid of that. Sony's worried that they think that they're going to sabotage Call of Duty for the PlayStation if that happens. Here's the thing. Microsoft has been a big proponent of cross-platform gaming, and Sony's been not wanting to do it. There's some games that you can, some games that you can't. I think that one thing that Microsoft would do is push for cross-platform gaming for Call of Duty if this went through. And I don't think Sony wants to do that. I think that's one problem. But what are your thoughts? Like, go ahead and give your thoughts real quick. I'm going to give you the stage here, buddy.
Yeah. All right, let me maneuver this this way. All right, so I think Sony is more insecure with its own products at this point. They want to block a merger. They have no faith in themselves because, honestly, Xbox has Microsoft has really done nothing to kind of stop whatever, merger. They've done crossovers with the Switch and everything else. It's just Sony being insecure about itself. And I'm not sure if Bob shared this on the social media or whatever, but somewhere that Microsoft could push Sony to, show the deals that they've had for their exclusives and how much money they shelled out and everything, really kind of harming Sony in the long run, because it's going to really show kind of how Sony's just kind of been shady about everything. And honestly, Sony doesn't really offer anything more than its exclusives at this point. Everything that's good is either on Microsoft or cross-platform to begin with. You can only go so long on movies that are video games, such as like The Last of Us and God of War. And I mean, you really can't. Like, Hogwarts is cool and all, but again, it's more of a movie than a video game. Not that I complain. I'm still going to play it.
I thought Hogwarts was on both. Isn't that on multi-platform? I'm pretty sure it's multi-platform.
Oh. Yeah. Whatever. I have it on PS5.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, when you get down to it, I can understand Sony's worry, but they should not. Microsoft is trying to be like, look, we'll give you a 10-year deal. We'll give you this. We'll give you that, just so this deal goes through. And I think Sony's a little worried. This would be a huge deal for Microsoft, but we can't fool ourselves here, because the gaming industry has changed drastically over the last 10 years. Microsoft is not in the video game console business. Microsoft is in the subscription business.
Subscription and PC, really?
Well, no. Even on the PC side, they want subscription. Yeah. When it comes down to, if you even take a look at non-Xbox brand stuff, you take a look at their Office products, it's subscription-based. You take a look at the Xbox, they want you to get Game Pass. That's what they want. That's where they're making their money. They want Game Pass. And the only way that they can keep making Game Pass a successful option, and one where people are going to want to buy into that, is they need to get games. They need to get titles in that. Mm-hmm. So if they were to give this Activision Blizzard deal will go through, they would get all the Call of Duty games on their Game Pass, which would be huge for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. Sony's worried about that. That's one thing they're worried about, because Sony, they don't have a good subscription service. So when you get PlayStation 5, you got a subscription service to some of their first-party titles, but that's about it.
Yeah, they don't have anything else.
They don't have anything else. And that's what's going to draw people to the Xbox more, because they're going to say, well, I can get an Xbox, and with that great deal where you get an Xbox and Game Pass for $35 a month for 2 years, that's not a bad deal.
and you flat out don't have to buy any games. You get
Exactly.
what, like 300 or 250 or something like that.
Exactly.
Right out the gate.
It's not a bad deal. So that, I think, is where Sony, I know that they keep talking about, they're worried about the, oh, it's not going to be as good of a game. First off, that would be a shot in the foot to Microsoft if they allowed Activision to make a lesser game, and not a lesser game, but a game that just doesn't work as well on the PlayStation. They wouldn't do that, because this is no different than how they've handled PC gaming over the years.
Yeah. I mean, it's why would you make two separate games? And in all honesty, whoever owns it currently is just making cookie cutter games anyway.
True.
So, I mean, what's the matter?
The only thing that I could think is an interesting aspect of this. So, what is one thing that happens at the beginning of a console generation, or before the console generation starts, about a year or 2 years beforehand? You start to get these units sent out to developers. And if Microsoft is a developer of one of the biggest games that is out there, Microsoft will have their hands on the PlayStation 6 and the PlayStation 7, before, they even have to show anybody their Xbox, their next Xbox. That could be another thing that Sony's worried about. I'm not mad at Sony. I get the issues they have, but damn, if I don't want Microsoft to get this Activision deal.
But I mean, honestly, even having the console ahead of time, you can't really improve. I mean, they're basically PCs at this point anyway. You're not really improving too much of anything. They're the same thing, just in a different case.
True.
So, True. I mean, I think it's just Sony being Sony.
Yeah,
we're better because you don't have to put batteries in your controller.
I mean, I don't have it up here, but just get an Elite controller. You don't need a battery then with the Elite controller. But
be an adult.
But what you really got to think of is, there's those little things that each system has that's new, that is completely different and really just for that system. For the PlayStation, you take a look at that controller. With the touchpad on it last, what was that, on PlayStation 4? The touchpad. They have it now. They have that now? Yeah.
You didn't play Asher? Oh, you don't have a PS5. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, if you are interested, look at my TikTok. I do a review of Asher's World, which deep dives into the controller settings.
But then also think of this: Microsoft could then piggyback off their VR as well.
Yeah. Well,
so There's a lot that's. This is a lot bigger than I think people realize, and I don't know why they didn't make a big deal about it with Bethesda. When they bought Bethesda or Obsidian, because I think that, with the exception of Call of Duty with this Activision deal, and that's the only worry there that I think Sony has game-wise is Call of Duty. But everything else that I just mentioned, that should have been a worry for them all the way back in that other deal a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they know Bethesda's only going to release a game once every 15 years, so.
Unfortunately. Come on, where's Skyrim 6 at, damn it?
Yeah.
Where's Skyrim 6? Elder Scrolls 6.
No, you're right. The Skyrim re-released the 6th time.
No, I think they're on 12, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I did buy the game 12 times, but
Well, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
That's just